It's Annie at Vive Health and Wellness, and I'm thrilled to be here today. I was really looking forward to this great conversation because I have this amazing guest with me, Marla Press. Marla, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this too, Annie. I love every time our energy gets together. It's so aligned, and this is
Totally.
so perfect. But
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So let's say a few words about you so that people know who you are. And if you're catching this on the replay, then of course you'll be like, who was Annie talking to? So Mala, I know each other from a group program that we're each other participate into. And we really connected really well because get this, she is actually a speaker's coach. She is a master. She's the founder of Speakers on Fire Academy. Just the name itself will tell you something about her. And she's wearing her red. She's a public speaking coach, life coach, and art of presence trainer. And most people will know that the number one fear in the world is speaking. So this is an important conversation that we're going to have today. So she coaches people to master their presence to have the greatest impact that they can have. I'm just checking that I'm going to make sure that I don't forget anything. Honestly, Mala helps you make sure that when you speak, people listen. Right? Why do we want to speak? Is to have an impact. We all have a message to convey. So she is the master with that. And she helps you fire up your audience so that they want to work with you and they're excited to work with you. So Marla, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Annie. Yeah, this is so important because we're bombarded with information these days, and the world is noisy and crazy, and people are all pressed for time, and they're all going in so many directions. And so you need to be able to grab people's attention, and you need to be able to keep people's attention. People are scrolling through Facebook and LinkedIn and all of these different social medias. They're scrolling through, and you have to stand out from the crowd. And if you're on stage, you got to wow your audience.
Yes.
And this is the best way for your business to grow.
Oh my God, you have to repeat that. That's important. It's really important. Everybody that is working for yourself, or if you have a career where speaking is important, right?
Yeah.
And I think honestly, it's part of everyone's job now, right?
Yes. And so when I talk about being a speaker, you don't have to be in a big stage. All of us are speakers at all times. We
Yes.
all are communicating, and it's either landing or it's not. You're
Ooh.
either keeping attention or you're not. And these principles, these techniques I take people through, it's even helpful with your spouse or your partner or your kids. It's helpful with everybody in every situation.
That's interesting that you say that because, in a way, this is fundamental skills that we should be acquiring, right, in school. But of course, this is not something that is taught, unless you've been lucky enough to be in a really progressive, program and you were told. But our entire lives are about being heard, having better communication with others. And whether you're on a mini stage or a large stage, it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. The principles must be the same, right?
Yes. Communication, connecting with people, keeping interest. It's helpful in everything you do. But when you're a speaker, when you own a business, when you're a coach or consultant, you got to do this. You got to learn these skills. And it's more than just, things that you could learn anywhere, or things that are just something you can read in a book or just practice on your own. What I teach is really unique exercises and very unique techniques. That's what makes me different as a public speaking coach, because what I did was I combined my art of presence training, as you mentioned, and my psychology background and hypnosis and all different kinds of psychology and regular speaking techniques, like your compelling story and your pitch or your way to express what you do and your body language. It's so comprehensive. And I focus a lot on you, the speaker, more than the techniques. It's really, how do you have this presence that is magnetic?
Ooh, okay. So before you tell us all the secrets, and I know you're going to share some of your secrets, I want to know. So obviously, what's very different about you is that you're combining all these skills, right? And it really makes you having a lot more tools in your toolkit, right? Than just the formulaic, here's how to be a good, speaker, right? But what are the biggest mistakes that people are making? What are you seeing?
Yes. So, there's a lot of ways to teach public speaking, and I'm not going to say any of them are wrong, but from my experience working with a lot of speakers, some things work better than others. And so, for example, you can go to one group that's very popular, and they have you count your ums, and you count them and you focus on them. And the idea, which might be logical, is to focus on them so you stop doing them.
Yes.
But what you resist persists. And so whatever you're focusing on, that's what you're going to get more of. So you don't want to do that. And what I help people do is really chunk their material so that it lands, and use pauses when you want something to land and emphasize it. And it gives you a pause, and it gives respect to your audience because they can take in what you're saying. We're taught to talk so fast because that's what people do these days. They talk so fast, and then you want to get all this information, and you don't want to be boring. No, that's boring after a while. They sound. So instead, it's really important to just be fully present, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, and to give pauses.
And I must admit that when I started to speak and I wanted to avoid the my guilty technique was to say, like I had this thing, and I was like, oh my God, Annie, what is happening? You have to stop that. And it was clearly a nervous thing. So I practiced the pause. I'm so glad that you're talking about that, because it gave me an opportunity to, if I had lost my track, where was I going with this? I would be like, I had a second or two to think, where am I in my progression, right?
Yeah.
So I use pause for that, without feeling like you have to fill every second. So biggest mistake, obviously, is that people are just cramming it in, thinking I can just jam as many words as possible in that 2-minute or that 10-minute or whatever opportunity they have to speak. And people literally don't understand you.
Yes. Less is more. Less is more. And then here's another mistake, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in detail, but being up in your head energy instead of in your body.
Yeah.
So that's not something you hear all the time, right? But that's where most of people live, is in their head energy. And that's where your to-do list is, and your critical mind lives. And it's cluttered. It's so cluttered. And so people get up to speak, and number one, they're more likely to forget what they're going to say because there's too much clutter in there. And number two, they get kind of choked up a little bit, or they get a lump in their throat, or they get a little red in the chest or the face, because your energy's up here.
Yes.
Instead of being throughout your whole body. And you also, when you communicate from this place, I call it your home space versus your head space inside your body, magic happens. It's amazing.
So let me ask you, because this is not my expertise, when you are in your body, does it mean that you are actually conscious of what you are feeling? You're actually paying attention to the breath? Or that you're, like you are actually fully present? Is that what it means?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's really hard to intellectually understand.
Yeah.
What the heck is she talking about? Get out of your head energy. It makes no sense. So I'm going to be offering a free masterclass at the end of our talk today. And in that, I take people through the experience of being in their body, because it's not just about focusing on breath or about being aware of what your body's doing.
Okay.
It's bringing your energy to a whole new place and communicating from that. And you can't really explain it well in words, but when you experience, and I take you through the experience in 5 to 8 minutes. When you go through that experience, you totally get it.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I must say, because I have been speaking, I started, when I started my business and I needed to start speaking, I have been doing it more and more and more. And the times that I'm the most successful is that I am so much more focused on not my speech and my words. And as a second, English is a second language, you get really self-conscious, right? So you can get all here. But the best opportunities where I've been, I think, the most powerful is when I truly was all about, never mind all the perfect words, what's the bigger message? And really all of me was involved. Do you know what I mean? And even to a point where I'm like, Annie, you have to stop moving. You move too much.
Well, I love the first part of what you said there, because that is it. Communication is only 10%. The words we use, that's it. It's 10%. Really, the statistic is 7%, but I like to round it up to 10%. That's it. And it's 20% in your tone of voice. And it's a whopping 70% your energy. And your energy is your confidence, your body language, and your passion. It's your energy. It's something completely different. And so when you focus less on what you're going to say and more on the message, the essence of it, you're so much more powerful. You got that right.
I love that because, one of the things that you and I are perfectly aligned on is this whole energy thing, right? It's one of the things that I teach in terms of health and wellness, elevating your energy. But we're not just talking about energy, right? We are talk about what's the kind of energy that creates that magnetic thing that we want to create.
Yes, that's another great question, Annie, because people get confused because I'm pretty high energy. And so when I talk about energy, people think, well, I don't want to be like her. I'm never going to be up there. I'm never going to be like Tony Robbins. I'm never going to be like these speakers, Suzanne Evans, or all these speakers that go, wah! They have these big, big energies. And that's okay. But you don't want to have super low energy.
Yeah.
But more important, you can be magnetic and mesmerizing, being pretty contained on a stage, sitting down versus standing up and walking around and doing big, big body language. But if you speak from this home space, you magnetically draw people in.
Yeah.
It is a totally different kind of energy. So there's different kinds of energy. It's not just all about high versus low.
Great.
There's energy that's unhealthy, that's not productive, let's call it that. And that would be if you're diffused, if you're projecting or spilling onto the audience, or if you're shrunken. A lot of speakers start out and they're shrunken, so they're almost held back. Their energy is right here instead of being expanded. And then it's hard to reach them. But you can be somewhat quiet and subdued, but be magnificent, like a Deepak Chopra, or like, certain people that don't have this wild energy, but they are magnetic.
Yes. And it's funny because when you were saying that, I was thinking there are many people who are incredibly influential speakers who absolutely have a very quiet disposition about them, but they're very powerful speakers.
Yes.
And you can
absolutely
feel, right? It's like, ooh, it's radiating, right? So I think that that's a really good distinction, right? But I think that regardless of a Tony Robbins or a Deepak Chopra or, much quieter people, it comes down to that incredible presence being aligned.
Yes,
right?
yes. Broo, 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 broo. Yes, it's all about that because it's not high or low. It's this full body energy versus head energy. And it's this magnetic communication that happens. And again, it's something that's really hard to either intellectualize or explain. And it's really hard to get it and be it yourself until you do these exercises that I take people through. And then they get it really quickly. So that makes all the difference because it's not about, thinking about it. It's about experiencing it.
Totally. And Marla, I think that the elephant in the room is I think that we believe that there's some people who are naturally born speakers and then that the rest of us will suck, right? So I think that a lot of people think, it's like, oh, well, that person, they're so good, right? Wow, look at them. I want you to talk about the fact that, what I truly believe is that anyone can become a great speaker.
Oh, yes. And so here's another big thing that I do that is unique. And that is, I don't say be like Tony Robbins or be like Oprah or be like Deepak Chopra. And it's not that you don't want to emulate some of their strategy and some of their elements of what they do that makes them so successful and fabulous. But what I help people to do is to be yourself and be expanded. Be yourself, but be fully expressed. Because what I find is speakers that, they're fun, they're funny, they're great people. They connect to people one-on-one with their friends and family. They get on a stage, and that could be a Zoom room or any stage. And all of a sudden, I have to be the expert speaker and I have to be professional. And then they have this boring, awful persona that's not really them. So what I help people do is to expand their personality so that it's fully them. And some people need to be more funny. Some people need to be more serious. Some people need to be more bossy. Some people need to be more, there's so many qualities to personality. Some people need to be more of the authority, some people less. I mean, there's just so many different parts to it. But what I'm really good at is intuitively knowing what each person needs to really expand their personality so they are fully expressed. And this is magical. People change so fast when we go through these exercises. It's amazing. And yeah, so everybody can be a good speaker because here's the thing. People don't want everybody to be a Tony Robbins. People want a piece of you because that's what makes you interesting.
Yes.
Be quirky, be your, however, whatever is you.
Yes. And if you're a little bit weird, that will be part of your brand, right? Like that's what makes you unique and memorable. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because in a sea of professionals, right? And we all have our different businesses, and whether you are a lawyer, whether you are an accountant, whether you are a coach, right? In various fields, you want to be memorable. And that's what you're talking about, like using your personality to distinguish yourself from the mass. And for people to go, I connect with you.
Yes,
I love this.
Yeah. And when you're yourself, consciously or unconsciously, people connect to you more than when you're trying to be someone else, or you're not, you're just shrunken and you're not being fully yourself at all. People want authenticity. And again, they may not verbalize it like, oh, that person wasn't authentic. No, but it's, communication again, it's only 10% what you say, and it's this 70% energy. And as the great Maya Angelou always said, people remember how you made them feel, not what you said or did.
I love that. I love that. So how can people take advantage of, tell us about your masterclass and what you're offering today? Because I think that this is really juicy, people, really juicy.
It's so juicy. It's so juicy. So my masterclass, I don't follow a formula. I don't even, I base it on who's in the room and what their needs are. We start by, you know, what are your challenges, and then we get into these exercises, which doesn't sound very juicy and sexy to say exercises, but this is where the juice lies. It's in these transformations that happen immediately in my class because people experience something new and they get it, it lands. And we go over, you know, how to be more present, how to transform your energy, and how to wow the audience, and how to say more with less, and all of these things that are so powerful. So it's not, you know, it's not just the 5 steps to do something or the 3 steps to do that. I'm not into that. I believe that people learn by doing and by experiencing, and it's so powerful.
When is this masterclass, Marla?
It's December 15th, so it's coming up really soon. At the bottom of the screen is the way you can sign up for it. And it's an hour and a half at the most, and it'll be well worth your time. It's amazing.
Fantastic. So people can just sign up. It's free. And honestly, you know, like anybody who is watching now or getting the replay, you know, there are many resources out there, but being able to be with a coach, a pro like Marla, to be able to then also get on hot seats with her and really be able to experience this, sounds like this is an incredible amount of time spent with a professional, because this will actually make the difference between, you know, being here in your business and going here. It's like, speaking is all about sales, right? Like it's sales in a sense, not in a salesy way, in a people want more of what you've got to offer.
Exactly. Yes. They want more of you, and they may not even care what you're selling. Sometimes they want more of you because you drew them in. And if you can't make the masterclass for some reason, then you can connect with me. Just take a picture of my QR code and you can connect with me one-on-one and we can have a chat.
Exactly. Marla, thank you so much. I always love when we talk. I know that there's so many more things we could talk about as well.
Oh, so many more. I know. I feel like, what? The time went by so quickly. We have so much more to say, but this is just, you know, an introduction. And so I hope all of you come to my masterclass.
Or reach out to Marla, right? If you can't, then there might be another one. So make sure that you connect and take advantage of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annie. This has been my pleasure and my honor.
Awesome. Goodbye, everyone.
See you next